I'm about to show you the absolute easiest way to make money right now, and I cannot believe I'm saying this, but it's through your savings account. And you might be thinking, why in the world would my savings account be the best way for me to make money? Well, that's because you can get paid, at least on this list, anywhere between 4 to 5% with little to no risk, because stocks like this can drop 20% in a single day. However, in your savings account, you don't have to worry about any market risk, and you are insured by the FDIC for up to $250,000. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. I'm also going to show you which bank account I currently have and which bank account I'm going to have to move to. All right, so let's first start off with the bank I do have, and that is Ally. Ally is paying 4.25%. The things I love about Ally, they have a great app, great customer service. I've never had to wait for more than 3 minutes to get on the phone with somebody, and I can have a checking and savings account all in one place. What else do I need? Well, a higher rate is one thing that I could need because that's the lowest rate here on the list. Moving up to 4.3% is Capital One and Discover. They're tied for the number 2 spot, or I guess the number 4 spot, depending on how you want to rate this list, either forwards or backwards. But y'all get the point here. It's tied, Capital One and Discover, which ironically, both of these are known for their credit card over their banking accounts. But the thing about Capital One, which I do like, I've worked at Capital One in the past. I still have a checking and a savings at Capital One, but the majority of my money is at Ally, is the fact that I can have a checking and savings at one place. And I have the advantage of going into a branch depending on what part of the country I'm in. Ally doesn't do that. Discover doesn't do that. I lived in New York, which is where I worked at Capital One for a number of years. Could walk right in there and right out, no ATM fees or anything of that nature. They're also pretty big in Louisiana and other places in the country, Virginia too, and DC, and maybe Maryland. But outside of that, there's one of the advantages. For Discover, it is an advantage for the opposite reason. They only offer a savings account, and that's pretty much it. Pays the exact same as Capital One, but for some people, out of sight, out of mind is a good investing and saving strategy, because if I open up my banking app and I'm looking to pay something or pay off my credit card that's there, I could look at my savings. I might be tempted to take money out. That might not be the best strategy for some people. And I've done it before where I can say, look, I'm going to put this money into an online savings account and just have a recurring deposit and totally forget that it's there. Next thing I look up, I have several $1,000s. That's great. Okay, so if you want something that's out of sight, out of mind, and pays 4.3%, then Discover might be for you. But there's also one that pays just a tiny bit more at 4.35%, and that one is Barclays. Barclays pays 4.35%, as I mentioned just a second ago. The only disadvantage that I can really think of is the fact that it has no checking account option. Okay, that's it. If that matters to you, that's it. Now again, some people like the out of sight, out of mind, and for some, and I've argued this maybe 10 or 15 years ago now, where not having a checking account can actually help you because you can't readily spend money. And your job to have a savings account is to sit there and just grow and sit, nothing else. Okay, that's what it is there for. So Barclays might actually be an advantage if you are looking for that. The next one here is paying 4.5%. Now, there are 2 accounts here that are paying 4.5% on the list, but this is the one I might have to move to. Okay, it's Synchrony Bank. Synchrony Bank, okay, I mentioned the rate, again, 4.5 at this time. Now remember, rates could change, but they have ATM reimbursement for up to $5, okay? I don't know how long you've been subscribing. I don't know if you know me personally or not, because there are plenty of people that are watching these videos, which is great and fun. But I'm gonna tell you this, one thing about me, okay? I can't stand ATM fees. Cannot stand ATM fees. How are you gonna charge me to use my own money? Okay, and then you got some places that only take cash and want you to go and use their ATM, and they hit you both ways. Hate it, can't stand it. So at least this bank will pay you $5 per month, or reimburse you $5 per month when you use an ATM. Okay, now there are other banks that pay more and all that kind of stuff, and reimburse you up to 100% and all that stuff. All that's true, but ain't none of them paying 4.5%. Okay, so for me, for someone who does not use cash often and doesn't even run into an ATM often, at least I have the protection of this little $5 every month. I like it, okay? It is for me. It is for me. Now, I know this is how much I hate ATM fees. There are 2 times I paid an ATM fee in all of 2023, okay? I did it at Disney, at the hotel, and I did it in San Diego for a bachelor trip. That was it. The only 2 times I've used it all year long. And I would prefer that I get my $5 in both instances. All right? All right, we got that clear. The next one here is also paying 4.5%, and that is SoFi. Now, SoFi has been on the channel at least twice in the last 5 days, and that's because they're one of the best places to open a Roth IRA. It could be one of the best places for you to open a savings account as well. Now, there's a catch. There is a catch here. You need 3 things to open a SoFi savings account. You need a checking account, a savings account, and it needs to be linked to direct deposit. For some people, that could be a disadvantage. For some, it could be an advantage. Okay, so it really depends on what you want. Both Synchrony and SoFi, they both pay the exact same, but one you need checking and savings and direct deposit, the other you don't. Okay, and the other pays that ATM reimbursement. So it's totally up to you. If you choose SoFi, I mean, this is probably a pitch for SoFi. I don't own the stock. They don't pay me to do this. But, I mean, you could do all that if you want to. And you could also have the advantage of your Roth IRA there too. Okay, you can all have it in one space if that is something that is appealing. Now we move to the next one, and that is paying 5%. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5%. And that's the highest one on the list, and that is Laurel Road. Now, the only disadvantage that I really saw for Laurel Road is the fact that if you close your account within 10 days, you don't get the interest. I don't know why you would open and close a savings account within 10 days, but it showed up in my research, so I had to bring it up. They are a subsidiary of KeyBank, which is a smaller regional bank. I don't know if that makes you feel better or worse about that, but again, it is a subsidiary there. KeyBank is a smaller regional bank. I ran into it when I was in the New York area, so perhaps those in the Northeast, perhaps Canada too, might have run into it, but they've been in the news because a lot of smaller regional banks have been under pressure. Now, that does not sway me away from them because, again, if I'm under the FDIC limit, I'm going to get my money back. I'm not really concerned at this point in time about the safety of KeyBank, but I did want to go ahead and mention that. All right. Now, you've got the banks that you need to put your money. I'm going to tell you now, you get all of 45 minutes to decide which one you want to be into or which one you want to move your money to. I don't think it needs to cost you a whole bunch of time because the difference between 0.25 and, 0.75 when you're talking about savings account really doesn't matter as much. So if you already have one of these, you're probably good unless you want that ATM reimbursement like me. Okay. So if you already have one of these, you're probably good. You're not going to make that much more money because it's a savings account from going to point A to point B. But if you don't, and you don't have any of these banks, I would highly suggest moving. But again, don't put more than like 30 or 45 minutes into the thought process between choosing because it's really hard to go wrong. You're almost guaranteed to make money. The only reason why I say almost is because inflation does exist. Okay, inflation, you have to subtract that, so the money's going to be worth what it's worth after inflation. But again, very easy money to be had here with very little risk. Now, you got your savings account squared away. It's one of the most important things you need to have to be a good investor because you want to pull from your savings if something happens before you pull from your stocks, okay? But if you're looking for a place to open a Roth IRA, which you should have too, then you want to check out this video right here.